Hi, my name is Margaret Paramo, and today I'm here with Dr. Richardson to talk about the CDT testing. How are you today?
I am fine. How are you doing, Margaret?
Good.
Good.
So, what is CDT testing?
So the acronym is Classroom Diagnostic Tools. And it's kind of what it says with that word diagnostic. And it's just an assessment or a snapshot of where a student is at a certain point in time. And so it just kind of, it's like going to a doctor and getting a physical exam, and it's just checking on how the student is doing and maybe areas of weaknesses, areas of strength, and it gives the teacher a lot of information so that they can plan lessons accordingly.
All right. So, why do we take the test?
You take the test so that teachers and the district can get specific and timely information. I mentioned that it's kind of like a checkup, like going to the doctor to get a checkup. And so if you think about it, when you take the Keystone in May, the Keystone exam or your final exam in May, that's almost like an autopsy. It's too late to do anything about it. So you're taking the CDT test in September, January, and March so that teachers can do something about any areas where you might just need a little bit of extra help. Or if you're doing really well, they might not have to spend so much time on a unit, things like that. So it just kind of helps the teacher guide their instruction.
All right, so who takes the test?
So this year it will be a little bit different. It will be all of the ELA 2 students. It will be ELA 3 students, and then some students who are not proficient in biology and Algebra 2, they will take the test this year.
All right, so what materials do we need for the test?
I think you need a good night's sleep.
All right.
You need a good breakfast in the morning. And you just get to class on time and have your thinking caps on.
All right.
That's really all. It's just checking to see where you know. It's nothing that you can really study for.
Okay, and how can students view their diagnostics?
So you would have to do that through the teacher. So once you take the test, the teacher will get the information in about an hour. And so hopefully they will share that information with you within a couple of days and help figure out a plan for the areas where you might need some extra help or where they can enrich you. And then also the teachers will hopefully share the information with your parents.
Okay, and what do the results tell us?
So the results will give us a lot of information over time. Remember I said that students will take them 3 times per year. And so the first part is a snapshot of where you are at each particular time during the test. But then the teachers can also do something called a learning progression map. So they can see how you progressed from September to January to March, see the progress that you made. So they can do that for individual students. And then they can also do learning progression maps for the class as a whole. And so they get information on the different strands that are aligned with the standards aligned system. That's where the Keystone questions are derived. And so they get information about all of those different strands and whether or not they need to go back and remediate or reteach something, or whether they can move on and keep going.
All right, and do these tests have an impact on students' grades?
Not directly. You're not graded for the test.
Yeah.
However, I think, for example, if a student is taking a math CDT, for example, and they don't do well on fractions, well, the teacher will know that this particular student, or maybe even a group, the teacher can identify groups and they might have a bunch of students work together on fractions and say, let me help these students with the fractions that they're weak on. And so over time, you could see progress in your grade because it's identifying those points where you just need a little bit of extra help.
Okay, and how is the test carried out?
The test is carried out within your classroom. And so the administrators in this building will give you class tickets, and then you would log into the computer and go to the site and then take the test online.
All right, and what do the results mean for the teachers?
The results for the teachers, it gives them, again, individual information. It gives them information for the class as a whole. It gives them information about how the students progress. And then there are resources on the site. So if the teacher determines that a lot of students aren't doing well on something, then it can give them some resources so that they can go back and review or reteach. Also, the teacher can access lesson plans from the site. So there are a lot of resources from this site. And one of the things that I forgot to mention at the beginning of the interview is that the CDT tests were created by a committee of educators who work for the Pennsylvania Department of Education and the Diagnostic Research Center. And so they are continually working together to make sure that these tests are effective. But they were created by educators.
All right, and who will have access to the data presented by the CDTs?
So as a student, the teacher will share the information with you. Of course, all of the teachers will have access to the information, and when they get into their groups, they have something called professional learning communities, or PLCs. So they can get together and they can talk about how their students did and what they might need to do moving forward. The administrators in this building will have access to the information, and then central office administrators such as myself will have access to the information.
All right, and how are they going to use this data, like the results from the tests?
Well, it's a diagnostic, and so it's just used to help you continually throughout the year and to do better on the areas that we might need to reteach, review, or you might do really well on something, and so as a student, you won't have to spend as much time on that area. So the teacher can move you along. They can differentiate, move you along to something else while they're helping other students get caught up to the level of where you are.
Okay, and what went into the decision to administer CDTs?
Well, Norristown, along with all of the surrounding school districts, use some sort of diagnostic test. In the past, I think this building used something called STARS, and so they were also diagnostic. But the CDTs are aligned with the Standards Aligned system, which comes from the Pennsylvania Department of Education. So the feeling is that they can help you a lot more because they're aligned to the content that you should be getting in the classroom.
All right, and what do these tests offer for students?
It's just, it's information on where you are during the course of the year in a particular class.
All right, and what kind of training do you think you will need to provide for teachers to use this data efficiently?
So the administrators here at the high school provided training for the ELA teachers last week. In the past, I think algebra and biology teachers administered the courses, and so the English teachers are new to this, so they got training, building-wide training, but also the Pennsylvania Department of Education and the Diagnostic Research Center, they did some webinars, and so teachers could log in and watch them live, but also they are recorded, and so the staff here has a link, and so if they want to go back and view the videos, then they can, to help them learn more about the test, also to help them learn about some new reports that are available. They've made the site a lot more user-friendly, so it'll be easier for the teachers to get reports and to form groups. And so I think between the professional development that was done here in the building and then viewing the webinar on the DRC site, that it should be enough information there to assist the teachers in pulling the adequate reports.
All right, so what type of research went into choosing this test?
I think the main thing was, again, the alignment with the standards, the Pennsylvania standards that you all have to use, and so I think that was a big part of it. So this year, the building decided to use benchmarks from Study Island for the 9th graders, just to get information at as a whole for the 9th grade group, and so we decided to use the keystones for the English courses.
All right.
Since you all will have end of the course tests in those classes.
Okay. And what teachers and students reported that these tests took almost an entire week to administer. What plans do you have to address these concerns in the future?
Hopefully, moving forward, that will not be the case.
Okay.
The tests are 48 to 60 questions, and they are computer adaptive. And so, for example, if you're doing well on something, then it'll move you to a different set of questions. If you're struggling with something, it might change the format of those questions. But 48 to 60 questions. With the administrators printing the test tickets, we hope that that will save time. And then I think now that every student has a Chromebook, then it's a lot easier. In the past, every student did not have access to that technology. And so I hope that the test can be administered in one class period, 2 max. So it should not take a week to administer.
Okay. And I know this is the 3rd year in a row that the district administers the CDTs. What changes have you seen occur in the time that you can attribute to the test?
So this is my yes, this is my first year in the district.
Oh, okay.
So personally, I have not seen a lot of changes, but I know that district-wide, they are monitoring and adjusting the different assessments. And here in this building, they've changed the tests that are administered to the 9th graders, but then expanded the CDTs to include Biology 2, and some of the other courses, ELA 2. And so I think going into year 3, there's a recognition of the value of the CDTs and how they can assist teachers by giving them information, and then how they can assist you as a student by giving you timely and specific information about where you are in the class those 3 different times that the tests are administered.
All right. And how do we balance the time to complete this test? What impact does it have on the students' learning? Like, that makes sense.
I hope that it will have a positive impact on your learning, because during the course of the year, you are having to set aside 3 class periods to take the test. But at the same time, the teachers are getting a lot of specific information about you personally. And so instead of directing things to everyone in the class as a whole, then they can start individualizing a lot more. They can start putting you all into groups. They can start helping students who are weak. And so I think those 3 class periods that you have to give up for the actual administration of the test will have a long-term benefit for you.
All right. And is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I don't want the students to view this as another test and one more thing that you have to do, but as a checkup on your well-being in that class, and ways that the teacher can use it to help you specifically. And when you get the information, when you get your report about how you did, then use it and advocate for yourself and ask questions and find out how you can get help on those areas where you're weak and those types of things. So use it as a positive and don't think of it as just one more test that I have to take.
All right. Well, thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me here.
And now you have all the information on CDT testing. Now back to our host.